Hey, are we on? Are we live? I think we are. All right, let's go.
Are you really down, girl? Let me see your point of view. Will you stick around? Don't let my words be misconstrued. I tried love once before, it was the best, it was the worst. I thought we'd go all of the way, but I put that thing in reverse. What would you do with my love? If everything goes south or you step out of it, hold on. What would you do with my love? I need to know this now, I can't take losing more people. I said now, two dads gone, baby, friends gone, baby. I had my baby, now she ain't my I don't keep too much company, life showed me people come and go. But when I find people I love so hard and can't let go. You know, you go, and so I know you can't get any man you want. DMs are on full. If some shit goes down, temptations knocking at your door. It be like, please come, little baby, let's get crazy, lose control. I need security from you, that means I need you to be true. And if you have a change of heart, just leave, don't cheat on me, please, boo. What would you do with my love? If everything goes south or you step out of it, hold on. What would you do with my love? I need to know this now, I can't take losing more people.
I'm tired, baby. I'm tired. All the hurt, all the rejection, all the loss. At this stage of my life, we gonna do this. We gonna do this. So you let me know. You gonna go? You gonna stick around? Life ain't always gonna be comfortable. Hustlers take risks. And I ain't settling for nobody. No sorrows. You wanna roll the real one? I'ma need you to follow the program. Feel me?
Hey, yeah, and you could believe it, that's your boy on the track. You know what I'm saying? So I got my own music, I code, I do the whole 9 yards. So welcome to this live. I realized that I hadn't done a coding video in a while, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna have to do it tonight. So this is live coding with Trav. We are gonna finish up the HTML section on freecodecamp.org, Basic HTML and HTML5. I am the LeVar Burton of coding, you know what I'm saying? Coming through, doing what I gotta do. So let me go ahead. You know, it's only right that if I code, I gotta put my glasses on, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get into the mode, so let's do it. All right, so we stopped at the create a text field section. So we're gonna go from create a text field all the way to finish. So create a text field. It says, now let's create a web form. Input elements are a convenient way to get input from your user. You create a text input like this. Remember, so we had the opening and closing brackets. Now, if you look on here, there's no closing brackets. So you have input type equals text. Note that input elements are self-closing. Just said it before I said that. Create an input element of type text below your lists. So we have our list right here. Remember, we have the unordered list, which is the UL opening and closing tags. Then we have a P. Then we have the ordered lists. So we have that right there. Let me adjust my mic real quick. Hold on one second. push this back. Get this thing right here. All right, cool. So it says create an input element of type text below your lists. So pretty simple. I'm just going to copy that. Paste. And we're good to go. Boom. So we got that. Let's submit and go to the next challenge. All right. So add placeholder text to a text field. Placeholder text is what is displayed in your input element before a user has inputted anything. You can create a placeholder text like so. So we have an input, we have a type, which is text, and the placeholder that says this is placeholder text. Remember, input elements are self-closing, which means it's not like these unordered lists and ordered lists where you have an opening and closing tag. Remember, the closing tag is where you have the slash and then that. So set the placeholder value in your input text to cat photo URL. So real simple. We're going to copy this. Remember, a lot of coding is copying and pasting. And then we're going to take this and just paste it as so. And look, cat photo URLs in the placeholders. So remember, we always want to go over acceptance criteria. When you have any coding job, you're going to usually work with some type of management system like Jira, where you're going to have tickets where it's going to tell you what things you need to get accomplished. Here's the acceptance criteria. So it says you should add a placeholder attribute to the existing text input element. We did. You should set it to the cat photo URL. We did. We can see it right here. It should not have a closing tag, no closing tag, which means it doesn't repeat input with the slash. And the finished input element should have valid syntax. Looks valid to me. Let's see. Boom. So we good. All right, next challenge. Create a form element. Now, you could build web forms that actually submit data to a server using nothing more than pure HTML. You could do this by specifying an action attribute on your form element. For example, form action, and then we have the URL right here. So, and then input, and then a form. Nest the existing input element inside a form element and assign this URL to the action attribute of the form. So what that means is we have this form right here, right? We have this input. What this action means is that when we submit whatever data is in the inputs of this form, so we remember nesting is shown by indentation. So the parent element is this form, opening and closing tag. Inside the form is the input. Whatever data we send, which is going to be text, that we send in this input, it's going to send to this URL. Then at that URL, it's going to take the data we sent, which is going to be a string. We'll get to that later, but it's going to take that data and whatever the code is at that URL, it's going to process that data however we need to. Hold on real quick, get a message. Okay, cool. So it says nest the existing input element inside a form element and assign this to the action URL. Oh, so pretty simple. So we have this right here. We're going to copy that, paste it, pull this out. Now remember, indentation shows parent nesting. We're going to close that thing up. I'm going to add a tab right here. Now you can see it's inputted. That's how you can tell hierarchy. So let's look at this acceptance criteria, which says the existing input element should be nested. Yep. The form should have an action. Oops, see, I forgot that part. That's why you want to check that. Do we do that? Yep. Do we do that second part? Nope. Shout out to E40. So, or no, we actually have the action part here, but I have to reset the URL. So let me copy that, paste that in this thing. I actually got to put this. Yeah, cool. And then the form element should have a well form open and closing tag. Open, close. Let's run. Hey, there it is right there. Submit and go to the next challenge. Become a monthly supporter of our nonprofit. Nah, I'm cheap. So ask me later. And I'm going to still say the same thing later. Maybe I'll donate later. I don't feel like doing it right now. I just feel like coding. All right. So add a submit button to the form. Let's add a submit button to your form. Clicking this button will send the data from your form to your URL you specify for your form's action. So boom, remember we talked about this URL right here. That's an action is going to take whatever data is in the input and send it to here to process it however we need to do it. But in order to do that, we need a button that's going to do the submit. So that's where you have button type submit, which means when you click this, it submits whatever's in that form. And then this is the text that shows for that button. So add a button as the last element of your form with the type submit and submit as its text. So we take this, just copy it. Now form, opening, closing, right before the closing. So that's the bottom. Now you see it's right there. That text that's inside, this button submits the form. That's the text that shows in the actual button right there. But it said, and submit as the text. So let's just type submit in here with a capital S. Let's go to the acceptance criteria. Your form should have a button inside it. It does. We can see it's nested inside. Submit button should have an attribute type of submit. Yes. Boom, right there. Submit button should only have the text submit right there. And watch for that. A lot of times things can be case sensitive. So that S needs to be capitalized. We have capitalized. And your button should have a closing tag. Boom. We got it right there. Let's run this test. Hey, and there it goes right there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, let's go to the next thing. All right, use HTML5 to require a field. Now, you can require specific form fields so that your user will not be able to submit your form until he or she has filled them out. For example, if you wanted to make a text input field required, you can just add the attribute required within your input element like this. So input type text and then required. Make your input a required field so that your user can't submit the form without completing this field. Then try to submit the form without input any text. See how your HTML5 form notifies you that your field is required. Okay, so literally we're just copying this and putting this in there in that input field. So there's the input field, there's a placeholder, put at the end required. Now that's it right here. And see, the thing is you know if you haven't put anything in here because the placeholder still shows in the input. See, if I put something in here, see how the placeholder went away? Now it's showing that S. But if I get rid of this, now that cat photo URL is back in there. So that's how you know if there's no text in there. So we're going to try to run the test. And it didn't work. But that's what we were supposed to do. So it is what it is. You saw what it was, basically. All right. I think that kind of worked a little buggy. But basically, normally what would happen is if it was required and then it was blank and then you submitted it, it wouldn't submit. I think what happened was that I put something in there and then not. And then it felt like, okay, you did put something in there, but that's not the behavior. But no big deal. You get the point. Basically, it won't send if it's not been touched or it's empty. Create a set of radio buttons. Now, you could use radio buttons for questions where you want the user to only give you one answer out of multiple options. Radio buttons are a type of input. So you've used radio buttons before. This is where you want to check certain things. You'll see it. Each of your radio buttons can be nested within its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of a label element, it will automatically associate the radio button input with the label element surrounding it. All related radio buttons should have the same name attribute to create a radio button group. By creating a radio group, selecting any single radio button will automatically deselect the other buttons within the same group, ensuring only one answer is provided to the user. Here's an example. So you have label, and then the input is nested inside of that label. And then this is the type, radio, name, indoor, outdoor, and then that's the value for that input. So it is considered best practice to set a for attribute on the label element with a value that matches the value of the ID attribute of the input element. This allows assistive technologies to create a linked relationship between the label and the related input element. For example, so we have that right here. That's actually not the value. I said that wrong, but we'll get to that point in a second. And then we can also nest the input element with the label tags. So label for indoor, input ID, indoor, type radio, name, indoor, outdoor, and then indoor. So it says add a pair of radio buttons to your form, each nested in its own label element. One should have the option of indoor and the other should have the option of outdoor. Both should share the name attribute of indoor, outdoor to create a radio group. Okay, so you'll see it's right here. So add a pair of radio buttons. So this is the first one. Let me format this. Yeah, it's going to be a little better to see like that. Boom. Okay. So indoor and outdoor. So label for indoor, input ID, input indoor. So you have that linked relationship right there. Then it's a type radio, name indoor, outdoor. Now, the reason why both of these are going to have the same name is because it's going to associate whatever in that form to that name input. It's going to consider that radio group one input because that one input is going to have multiple, those radio groups count as one input because you want that one value associated to it. So if you have a form and it's like, is the value going to be indoor or outdoor? You have two radio buttons with the same name so that whichever one you select, it'll be that value. So the indoor-outdoor selection was indoor this time, or the indoor-outdoor selection was outdoor this time. That's why it's the same. So let's take this, copy that, and then literally this is just going to be outdoor. This is going to be outdoor, and then this is going to be outdoor. So we changed the for, the ID, and the text that shows. So you can see it right here. See cat photo URL. That's for the text input. Then we have two radio groups. They both have the same name, which is indoor, outdoor. And then watch when I make the selection. See how it doesn't select both? It only selects one or the other. Because this is multiple values that you could pick, but you can only pick one of the multiple values. So that way it knows, hey, this was selected. Now we selected this. Don't select both because we can only have one value for this name input. So let's check the acceptance criteria. A little more here. Your page should have two radio button elements. We have that. Label, 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 label with those in there with the type radios. Each of your two radio buttons should be nested. So label element, we have that. We have that here. Your label should have closing tags. We have two. Your radio button should have the label indoor. One should have the label indoor, label for indoor. One should be outdoor, label for outdoor. And then each of your radio buttons should be added within the form tag. So remember, form. Inside is the two labels. So let's try it. Ooh, there it is right there. I'm going to get some more soda. So I'm going to take a quick break real quick. But in the meantime, I'm going to play one of my songs while you guys wait. So give me 1 second. I will be right back.
Getting on the floor, sitting at your table, but I'm trying to see some more. Didn't come to function just to stare right at our phones. Go and put that thing down so I can see just how you roll. Let me see you shake it from the window to the wall. Get your eagle on, girl, like the Nelly video. Locking that wine and I'm locking that flow. You can get a double tap, cause I like the way you move. Go ahead. make them stare and look your way. Celebrate like it's your favorite holiday. Move your body, let me see if you're for real. Don't be modest, baby, let them know the deal. Drop it low, ma, hit the flow. Bring it back now, make it go. Move it fast now, get it slow. Arch your back now, make it pull. Back it up now, make a show. Don't hold back now, go for broke. Work it out now, like a pro. Show it out now, let us know. There you go, mommy, let me see you do the most. Work it up like your booty just caught the Holy Ghost. Bounce it to the left and bounce it to the right. Make it look like your left and right cheek about to fight. Working in them heels, how you move it so free. Booty looking double jointed when you pop it for me. Girl, your cakes is banging like it's throwing up a set. And your frame is on fire, let them know represent. Pop it, shake it, move your body side to side, side to side. Let them know that you're the baddest thing inside. Ain't no competition, girl, you know you're fine, know you're fine. Strut that stuff and baby, let them see you shine, see you shine. Drop it low, ma, hit
Sorry,
the flow, bring it back now.
Sorry, I'm feeling my own music right now.
Get it slow, arch your back now,
hey.
Make it poke, back it up now, make a show. Don't hold back now, go for broke. Work it out now, like a pro. Show it out now, let us know. Drop it low, ma, hit the flow. Bring it back now, make it go. Move it fast now, get it slow. Arch your back now, make it poke. Back it up now, make a show. Don't hold back now, go for broke. Work it out now, like a pro. Show it out now, let us know.
Hey. Yes, that's one of my songs right there. Let us know. You can find that on Apple Music. You know what I'm talking about? All your lit streaming things. So you got to be a Renaissance out here. A Renaissance man out here who you know who could code and then play their own music and play slaps. That's what you get with me, bruh. And that's what I'm trying to bring to this space with the coding part of what I do, because I feel like I have a good mesh of personality and intelligence to bring people into the STEM world. I don't think that's out there like that. But anyway, back to the actual thing that we're here for, the coding. So, it says here, create a set of checkboxes. Now, we did radio buttons. Now we're going to do checkboxes. So, forms are commonly used checkboxes for questions that may have more than one answer. Checkboxes are a type of input. Excuse me. So each of your checkboxes can be nested with its own label. So it's like the radio buttons. And then by wrapping the elements inside the label, automatically associate. All related checkbox inputs should have the same name attributes. Just the same thing. That same principle that we're talking about. You're going to be submitting the same thing. You could have multiple values, but we want to associate it with one name so that when we send it to the form, it can associate those values with one name so we know where we're getting it at. So add to your form set of 3 checkboxes. Each checkbox should be nested within its own label element. All 3 should share the same name attribute of personality. Okay, so we're going to take this. We're going to copy this, and then we'll put it down here. So you have loving. I guess it didn't tell us what exactly we needed to call it, but I'm just going to make some stuff up. So label for loving, ID loving, name personality loving. So I'm going to just do smart. Smart, because remember we want to make that label for an input ID relationship. Smart. And then I'll just put funny. Funny. And funny. Okay, so loving, smart, funnies. Boom, boom, boom. Now with this, you can select multiple things at once. The radio button there is situations where it could be I think there are situations where it could be multiple. I'm not sure. But you see here, I could do all three at the same time. And it'll send it probably as an object. So your page should have 3 checkboxes. We have that. 1, 2, 3. Each of your 3 checkbox elements should be nested in its own label element. So label input, label input, label input. Make sure your labels have closing tags, 3 closing tags. It should be in the name personality, 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 personality. And it should be added within the form tag, which we have. So let's hit run tests. Hey, Ism, what it do? What it do? You see me coding over here, bruh. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. We doing our thing. You see me code live, you feel me? So let's run this test. And we good to go. Boom. All right, so let's go to the next thing. All right, so use the value attribute with radio buttons and checkboxes. So this is what I was talking about before, where I was saying that you're going to have a value and you want to put that in there because it's going to know what to submit. So when a form gets submitted, the data is sent to the server and includes entries for the options selected. Inputs of type radio and checkboxes report their values from the value attribute. So for example, you have this here and it puts that value. So remember before I was talking about we're going to put that, but we didn't have that yet. It didn't ask for that in the example. Now we're going to put that in. So that's why you have the value associated with the name. So that way when you send the form, it'll be like, okay, what's the value for the indoor-outdoor input? Is it indoor or outdoor? And that depends on what we select. When we do the personality input, it's going to be like, what were the values for personality? Loving, lazy, energetic. They changed this energetic. We did smart. So they totally changed our stuff, but you get it. So you have 2 radio inputs. When the user submits the form with the indoor option selected, the form data will include the line indoor outdoor equals indoor, which you see right there. And this is the name and value of the attributes, like I said before. And then if you omit the value attribute, the submitted form data will use the default value, which is on. Okay. In this scenario, if the user clicked the indoor option and submitted it, then resulting data would be indoor, outdoor, on. Okay. Is that because of what it was set to? Not sure where that's set, but okay. So given each of the, but you're not going to usually deal with that. You're going to explicitly set this usually. So give each of the existing radio and checkboxes with the value attribute. Do not create any new. Okay. So that's simple. So on all the inputs, we'll just add value after that. And we're just going to put what it's showing. So this one's indoor. So we're going to make the value indoor. So we send what we see. So if we select indoor, we want the value to be indoor. Same thing here. If the value is outdoor, we want this to be outdoor. We're going to put outdoor right here. And you want to keep this consistent. So I would make the for, the ID, and the value all the same. Keeping it consistent, case sensitive. Usually you just do lowercase. So let's do that for these other ones. So it's loving. You know what? Yeah, like that. Lazy. And this one, energetic. Make sure I spelled that right. Okay, cool. Let's go to the acceptance criteria. One of your radio buttons should have the value of indoor. Radio, indoor. Should outdoor, outdoor. Loving, lazy, and energetic. Loving, lazy, and energetic. Let's run this. Ooh, we good. China, what up? What it do? Hey, what up? What up? You can see me code live. You feel me? So, all right, next. check radio buttons and checkboxes by default. So you can set a checkbox or radio button to be checked by default using the checked attribute. To do this, just add the word checked to the inside. Hey, boo. How you doing? See, that's the thing with this coding channel. You got a guy that's got personality. I could actually have girls come over here and they'll be entertained. And you're going to learn a skill that's going to be actually, these are high level skills that you're getting. We're at the base of this right now, but that's what I'm saying. That's exactly why I want to be in this space doing what I do. You don't have a real one like me that's coming through that's going to be able to show you this in a fun way, but make it clear. A lot of times these engineers have horrible communication skills. They talk monotone, like, so we're going to do this. No, you know what I mean? Like they don't know how to make it entertaining. I'm able to do that. I'm just keeping it real. So let's continue. All right. So it's simple. So remember, we have an input. The type is a radio. Why is it a radio? Because you see it right here. That's the radio button. So you have your type. It could be a radio button or a checkbox. These are the radio buttons right there. The name, test name. So when you submit it, you know how it is. If you promise not to eat all her chips, that's an inside joke right there. Y'all got to stick around to get that one. That's an inside joke. But see, checked. All you do is just add checked. And then what it'll do is if you load this up, whatever one has checked will automatically be checked instead of having to click it. So let's do that. So what is it going to want? Set the first of your radio buttons and the first of your check boxes to both be checked by default. So that's simple. We just go to the first one here, which is this input. And at the end, just add checked. See how I checked it right there? And then we want to go to loving and do the same thing. So where's loving? Loving is right there. There's the input associated with it. We're going to put checked. Now see, so both of these are checked. This one is automatically checked. This one is checked right there. Remember, we want to always check the acceptance criteria to see if we're doing it right. So your first radio button on your form should be checked. It is. Your first checkbox should be checked. Boom, set right there. Run the tests. It's good. Boom. So we good to go right there. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, let's see. How much do we have to go? So we are at nest many elements within a single div element. Okay, we only got 3 more to go and then we are done. I'm actually going to take another quick break real quick because I need to use the restroom and it gives me a nice moment to play my music again. So I'm going to play another one of my songs. This one is called Is That Right? Written and performed by me. And the producer was Coast, who's also from San Jose and is produced for YBN Demir. So let me go ahead and play that while I take care of my business real quick.
You say you wanna be my baby, is that right? You say you wanna be my lady, is that right? You say you wanna be with me, is that right? You say it's for eternity, is that right? You say you wanna be my girl, is that right? You say you wanna be my world, is that right? You say my love has got you sprung, is that right? You say I am the only one, is that right? You say you wanna be with me, is that so? Well then I have to ask you, darling, so I know right now my money's looking solid. Well, tell me, will you stick around if you're broke? Sometimes in life we take a fumble. The hard times come and go as well. Struggle, honeymoon phase will slowly fail. Get up when things get real. Will you derail or hold on? She wanna start a life with me, cause I'm on. But back when I was trying to make it, there are goes. I ain't nobody's lotto ticket. No, I didn't beg for mine. I got it on my own. Say you wanna be my baby, is that right? You say you wanna be my lady, is that right? You say you wanna be with me, is that right? You say it's for eternity, is that right? You say you wanna be my girl, is that right? You say you wanna be my world, is that right? You say you wanna be my baby, is that right? You say you wanna be my lady, is that right? You say you wanna be with me, is that right? You say it's for eternity, is that right? You say you wanna be my girl, is that right? You say you wanna be my world, is that right? You say my love has got you sprung, is that right? You say I am the only one, is that right? Is that right? Is that right? Is that right?
Hey, that is your boy. That is me. The one and only Trav T, but my singing name is Trav Alexander. That song is called Is That Right? Yes, I sang that. I wrote all the lyrics. I didn't do the beat that time. I had a real producer. Well, I'm a real producer too, but I had a known producer do that. Yes, I did do that. But back to the coding. All right. So we're almost done. So now here we are. So the div nest many elements within a single div element. So the div element, also known as a division element, is a general purpose container for other elements. The div element is probably the most commonly used HTML element of all. Just like any other non-self-closing element, you can open a div element with div and then close it with another line with div. Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely pride myself on being a Renaissance man. My father put me in a position to achieve many things or go after many things. So I definitely have used my life to definitely sharpen my skills and to push myself and really just push black excellence. So not only can I do the singing and stuff, but I learned the coding and all that. I just want to be able to kind of mesh the two worlds with arts and STEM so that maybe it can have a positive influence and we can have some Renaissance men out here. You know what I mean? You don't have to just be one way as black people. All right. Thank you, sir. So nest your things cats love and top 3 cats hates list all within a single div. Try putting your opening div tags above things your cats love, P element, and your closing one after the OL element. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So yeah, divs are divisions and they create sections. You're going to use that a lot in coding. We're not going to get super deep with that there because we're almost done with this part of the tutorial. But it's just real simple. It's just an opening and closing tag. So we got that right here. We do div, and then we do the closing tag div. That's it. So your P element should be nested inside your div. Yes. There's 2 P's. Your UL element should be nested inside the div. Yes, because we got that right there. Opening, closing. Your OL should be. Yes, opening, closing. And your div element should have a closing tag. Yes. Let's run that test. Boom. And that's it right there. Now, declare the doc type of the HTML. Okay. So, let me pause this over here. So, the challenges so far have covered specific HTML elements and their uses. However, there are a few elements that give overall structure to your page and should be included in every HTML doc type. At the top of your document, you need to tell the browser which version of HTML your page is using. HTML is an evolving language and is regularly updated. Most major browsers support the latest specification, which is HTML5. However, older web pages may use previous versions of the language. You can tell the browser this information by adding the doc type tag on the first line where the ... part is the version of the HTML. For HTML5, use doc type HTML. The exclamation mark and uppercase doc type is important, especially for older browsers. The HTML is not case sensitive. Next, the rest of your HTML code needs to be wrapped in HTML tags. The opening HTML tag goes directly below the doc type HTML, and the closing goes at the end of the page. Here's an example. So you see the example right here. So as they say, when you have a page, this is the doc type tag. Then after that, you have the opening HTML tag and then the closing HTML tag. And then everything that's a part of that page will go inside of that. So it says, add a doc type tag for the HTML at the top. Then under it, add opening and closing HTML tags and wrap around an H1 element, which wrap around an H1 element, and the heading can include any text. So that's simple. Remember, as I said before, a lot of this is just copy and pasting. We haven't done any math or anything like that yet. This is a majority of it. So we just take this, and then it said put in the H1. Yeah. So I'm just going to put in the H1. Remember, opening and closing. And then I'm going to just put hello. Hello. Or no, let me put A, because that's what I say all the time. We'll put A, and then you see that right there. Remember, you can tell it's an H1 because it's the largest of the headings. You see that right there in the preview. Let's just review our acceptance criteria. So you should have the doc type HTML tag. That's at the top. There should be one HTML element. Yes, opening and closing. And then the HTML tags should wrap around one H1. That's it right there. Let's run the test. Boom. We are on our last challenge of the section. The last challenge, which is define the head and body of an HTML document. So you can add another level of organization in your HTML document with the HTML tags, with the head and body elements. Any markup with information about your page will go into the head tag. Then any markup within the content of the page, what displays with the users, will go into the body tag. Metadata elements such as link, meta, title, and style typically go inside the head element. Here's an example. So let me explain this. So yeah, there's a head and a body of your HTML. The head you do not see as the user, but the head has different information that developers will see when they do an inspection of the code, and for this whatever server it's on, and for search engines and all that. So like Meta, you'll put tags in here, and that's for search engine optimization. So if you want to put fitness, travel, whatever it is, and then when search engines search these keywords, it'll find your page by the metadata. So that's how they use SEO to optimize search engine optimization with the meta tag. Title, that'll be in there too for that. Style, that's where you'll put your CSS, your styling, that'll go later. There's a bunch of things that go in there. And then body is all the stuff we've been practicing. That'll go in there as far as what you see. So this is saying edit the markup so that there's a head and a body. The head element should include the title, and the body should include only the H1 and the P. So it's simple, just opening and closing tags. So it said the head should only have the title. So here's the title right here. Opening and closing. And remember, let's indent it so we can see the nesting. Proper syntax. Boom. And then we have a body tag. So, and it said put in the H1 and the P element. Now, these are two sibling elements that are nested inside the HTML. So these have the same indentation marks, but we're going to indentation level. Now we're going to do that here, do that there. Now you see that inside bodies, the H1 and the P. We're going to add a closing body tag down here so that it matches the indentation of the opening tag. And then let's see the acceptance criteria. There should be only one head element on the page. Head. Kind of sound funny. And then the body, there should be only one body element. Body to body, right there. And then the body element should be a child of the HTML, and the head element should be the child of the HTML element. So HTML, and then inside of it is a head and body tag. So boom, we got that. and then the body element, the head element should wrap around the title. So boom. And then the body element should wrap around the H1 and the P. Boom, boom. Now we run this test. We're done for the day, and that will finish the basic HTML, and HTML5 section. And let's see here. Boom! And we are done. So now it's going to the next section, basic CSS. We're going to stop right there. When I do my next live coding with Trav, we're going to do half of this section. So that's it for today. Let me remove this. Thank you for everybody that showed up. Thank you for everybody that showed love, left comments and everything. Very appreciative of that. Cool little show. I'm going to keep this going. I hadn't done this for like a week, but I need to be a little more regular with it. So I will do this again, and I will be making this a playlist on my channel. We're going to be going through all of freecodecamp.org. Might not be done all right away and all that, but at some point we will have all of this done. So thank you for everybody that joined in. I'm going to go ahead and play one more song to close this out, and then that'll be ending the stream. So that is going to be another one of my songs. So here we go. Let's see, which one do I want to play? Oh, I know which one I want to play. Let me pull this out. Here we go.
Lord, I'm trying to make a way, do some rap for a change. When you try to switch it up, people look at you strange. Got some partners hating now, turning to enemies. Other side never forgot about our funk on the streets. Got a seat, I got a feed, trying to make mama proud. Tired of seeing her always crying, give her something to smile. If you hear me up to God, hope you watch over me. Know the devil trying to get me, I'm just trying to be free. Mass incarceration of the street nation. Systematic advantages if you Caucasian. Politics involving movement over Ben Franklin's. The system is against us, ain't shit changing. Double homicide, she lost 2 sons. On the front porch crying till she throw up. Look up, tears running down her cheek. Pain hurts so bad she can't stand up on her feet. Young niggas in the streets with no fathers. Grandmothers raising babies for their daughters. When it boiled, drop them noodles in the water. We ain't eating 5-star, we trying to conserve dollars. Mask up, bust a mission in a rental. Chevron fumes probably fucked up my mental. Kiss my daughter any day could be my last. Cause I'm young and I'm brown and I'm shining on their ass. Lord, I'm trying to make a way, do some rap for a change. When you try to switch it up, people look at you strange. Got some partners hating now, turning to enemies. Other side never forgot about our funk on the streets. Got a seat, I got a feed, trying to make mama proud. Tired of seeing her always crying, give her something to smile. If you hear me up to God, hope you watch over me. Know the devil trying to get me, I'm just trying to be free.